So I have another photo that
Yep.
it seems it's a press. I think your team's being interviewed or
Yeah.
photographed and some sort. What's going on there?
So that's a sadder event. That's like at Walter's funeral.
Oh, okay.
And we all three went. Kareem and I were pallbearers at the funeral.
Wow.
And we got very close to the family. Yeah, you know, it's a very female dominated family. There's a lot of nieces and not as many nephews. And
Hmm.
so, you know, they wanted a couple of us to fill in and, you know, help
Wow.
be pallbearers. And that was like an incredible honor, you know, for me and for Kareem. Um, and it was really interesting because we were being interviewed because the family was so overwhelmed with what had happened. And it's like, it's emblematic of like how a little bit how Spanish media is, where it's like, even in death, there's a little bit of like faranduleo, you know,
Oh,
just like
yeah, yeah,
paparazzi
yeah.
style, you know?
Right.
And they were just so overwhelmed. And they were like, will you guys just talk to these people? Because like I can't, like you know, he's my uncle, like, you know, it's like
Hmm.
I can't say the same thing again, you know.
Right.
And so Kareem and Christina and I like would jump in and we would just like eulogize him and talk about our experience making the film and stuff. But like it was really just at the request of the family, acting as a kind of buffer. So it was kind of incredible. You know, you get close to your subjects, but I think it was different in the case of Walter. You know, we became like, you know, cousins or something, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
we still talk to all of them today. So
When
that was special.
and when that came out, did you watch it with him or with his sisters or anything? When you were finished with the product, did you guys watch it together or?
His nieces saw it,
Right.
and Walter only got to see 20 minutes of the movie, unfortunately, before he
Okay.
died.
Okay.
So even when we flew out for the funeral, we had turned in the cut to Sundance like a week before, but we were still working on the final cut, you know?
Yeah.
So we were like in the midst of an edit when that happened.
Hmm.
His nieces all came to Sundance, like four of them came, or three of them. And then Willie came and his secretary Wilma
Hmm.
came. And they really loved the movie, but also it was tough for them to like relive it, you
Right.
know?
That's
So it's
sure.
cathartic and they're all big supporters, but
Hmm.
you know, they're choka. It's hard.
I mean, but you know what? I think that was such a gift, and that part too, that they have because Walter was out of the TV for such a long time, and although
Yeah.
all generations still remember him and knew of him, it really was a gift to the culture. And for that, I thank you too, because it's great
And
to
I mean,
have that to show.
that's what we wanted to do is you know, we wanted, it was like a gift to the culture, it was a gift to ourselves in that way,
Hmm.
right? Whereas like, you know, we was always asking like, how has no one done this yet? You know,
Right.
like we need this kind of stuff, this kind of cultural preservation. So
And it's funny because I did watch Whoopi Goldberg talk about like she took
crazy.
the time to say all so much about it. Like, what kind
Yeah.
of promotion is that on the View?
Yo, that was wild. I mean, floored. That Tracy Ellis Ross from
I
Blackish,
saw
like
that too. I saw her
going
stories.
off on her. I was like, what is, I mean, I'm like getting goosebumps because it was like
Yeah.
surreal. Yeah, no, it was wild. I
And
mean,
it
that
shows
was
that people are interested in the culture, in Latino icons.
totally, and that we're interesting, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And that we're nuanced and that it's not just about like our food and our music. Like all that stuff is great, like the
Right.
music and the food and the, you know, all that's, but it's like, but like we are just as nuanced and complicated as any other ethnic group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be about, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like we don't always have to own a bakery in our, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
fuck, you know, like we don't always
Yeah.
have to be like an aspiring, you know, reggaetonero or something,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like we can just be people. And
We're
Walter,
multifaceted. Yeah. We like
we're
doing different kind of
multifaceted,
jobs. Yeah.
and Walter's the embodiment of that, you know. I mean, the guy's like the most weird, complicated guy you could find, you know.
Yeah. I like that you say that because I think that we're advanced, right? But we're still kind of like people don't know if they're not familiar with us or if they're not Latino, they don't know what we care about or what we like to do. I have another image here. This is the last image I have here, and it says it's a tattoo and it says Mucho Mucho Amor.
Yeah, so that is Walter's handwriting, and that is my tattoo.
Wow.
And I had him write it on a piece of paper,
Uh-huh.
and then I showed it to him, and he loved it.
Oh
And
wow.
it was like, it felt like a tattoo, like for my grandma also, like, in fact, the way I found the tattoo artist was we were eating at when in the movie you see this deli
Uh-huh.
where they have like a bathroom that's all like Walter, the
I
whole
saw
bathroom.
that. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's this deli called Stephen's Deli, and the waitress at Stephen's Deli had this tattoo that said like Mima and something, and Mima's
Uh-huh.
what I called my grandma. So I
Mhm.
was like, oh my God, where'd you get that? I want to get like a Walter tattoo. And she was like, oh, this woman. And so I got it from this woman who did this like Mima tattoo, and it's like
Wow.
the same kind of deal. Um, but it's also like, that's just like it also sort of like I was a suit for like 5-6 years, and
Mhm.
like was great. I had a lot, like I learned a lot, but like it
Yeah.
was so not me,
Right.
and I got into trouble all the time for not like asking for permission for things, and drove my
Yeah.
former boss at HBO crazy, I'm sure. And like and so this is also just a way of like I can do what I want with my body, and when
Right.
like it's like
Yeah.
not that you can't have tattoos if you're a suit, but there's just a little bit of like I'm my
I've
own
been
person.
there. Yeah, I get that. There's nothing about the movie that I did not like. Everything was like amazing. Like I
Thank
just
you.
want you to know that. Is this something that you think you would want to do again with somebody else? And if so, who would you like to do this with?
I think for us, the thing is always like, where's the combination, our history, like preserving the culture, and
Mhm.
also something that's relevant now, So
Mhm.
like, if we're going to do another doc that's about a big icon, we want to center it in the conversation that we're having as a culture now. There's like, it's like we could do a Don Francisco, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
then the question becomes like, okay, but then like, what's it really about? What's the real story we're telling? Because the man is fascinating and has a
Mhm.
fascinating story in himself. But
Mhm.
what does that moment, what does that legacy mean to us today? Right.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a little hard for me to say who exactly, because
Mhm.
I am pursuing the projects of the
Okay.
people that I want to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to give it away,
Right. Right. Right.
yeah. Um,
But I would
but I
imagine
definitely want
people, if I was Don Francisco and I saw that, I'd be writing you.
I hope, I mean, yeah,
You know?
reach out to him, let him know.
Yeah, I will. I'll let
Uh,
him know.
we definitely want to tell those kinds of stories, and we want to tell other stories that aren't just,
Right.
you know, uh, Latino stories, but that
Hmm.
like have these interesting intersections of identity. Like that's a big piece
Hmm.
of what I'm into.
If you can share something with a creative, um, in general, but it could be geared to your specific vein, in the entertainment industry. What would you advise them? Because I know getting this documentary could not have been easy because there's
Yeah.
funds you have to raise and there's teams that you have to build. What a piece of advice would you give to somebody who wants to do what you did?
Yeah, I mean, I would say two things. Like one, like never stop making stuff. Like make stuff with the resources that you have available to you. Like don't be that person working on a project that you're not actually shooting, that you're not actually editing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Make things.
Hmm.
Because I think that's how you get better at stuff. And don't be precious about it. Like whatever you think is going to be like your opus, like it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like there, because you're always, by the time you're done with it, you're going to look at it and go, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. And the other thing I would say is like, as most of us are immigrants to this country,
Hmm.
and even if you're from Puerto Rico and if you're living outside of Puerto Rico, there's like an element of that.
Hmm.
Um, and we are constantly, I think there's a lot of pressure on us to do what's practical, to hustle, you know what I mean, to like grind, and I will just say there's a place for intuition, right? There's a place in all of this for looking inside yourself and saying, where am I being pulled towards? As opposed to, what is the thing that makes the most sense right now? What is the thing that achieves the most power for me right now? And
Hmm.
that is a balance, because we are often people who are marginalized, who don't have power, who don't have nepotism in this business, right? Like
Hmm.
our uncle, our tios are like far more likely to sell insurance, like car insurance, than to like be the head of business affairs at Sony. You know what I mean? Like, so with that in mind, we're always looking for that power, but you can't let go of that inner thing, the thing that like made you want to do this in the first place when you were just watching movies or doing theater, in your home, in your school when you were a kid, right? Like, think about that. Because I think we overlook it a lot of times.
I really appreciate your time. I think that there's a lot that anyone can get out of this conversation that we're having. And I can't wait to see what else you guys come up with, because I'm sure more people are going to be coming to you, praying that you guys be blessed with more work and that you keep following your intuition, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I wish I had more time for you, but I got to hustle.
All right, cool. Keep hustling, man. Thank you so much. Blessings.
Don't forget to subscribe and watch this next video. Only if it's me. If it's somebody else, don't watch it.